It's so great to be together again in person. We've had so many shifts in and out of gathering in person, it's hard to keep track of. For some of us, giving up pajama church is going to be a little bit of an adjustment. But it's totally, totally worth it to see each other again outside of our little Zoom boxes. Welcome to Youth Sunday. For adults, this is a great opportunity to see some things through the eyes of our youth. For our younger children who aren't really here today, we hope that Youth Sunday is an opportunity for them to see our really cool older youth as role models and as leaders in the congregation. So for kiddos that are watching from home, they can see what our youth have put together here. This year, we've been exploring the 7 principles of Unitarian Universalism. We asked our youth to share their thoughts and views about the 7 principles through photos, art, music, and also words with our 6 words tradition of writing 6 words about something. We'll all be looking through this youthful lens and also giving you the opportunity to share what things look like through your lens. We have really amazing youth, and it is so much fun to work with them. We're very proud of everything they've done, and we can't wait to see all the cool things to come. We started this school year with a lot of hopes, dreams, and plans for our youth group. But like a lot of other things, COVID really messed us up. But yay, it's spring. There's still time for us to do some fun things before school is out. And we really, really hope that when school starts again, we'll be back to more normal. So watch for more youth activities as well as the start of OWL in August. Thanks for being with us today.
Xander, what comes to mind when you think about what it means to be a Unitarian Universalist?
The golden rule.
I think I might have a story for that. The Golden Rule, written by Eileen Cooper, illustrated by Gabby Switkowska. A grandmother and her grandsons stood on a city sidewalk looking up at the words printed on a billboard.
What can you say?
Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. People all over the world call those words the Golden Rule.
What does it mean? Why is it golden?
It means this. Treat people the way you would like to be treated. It's golden because it's so valuable in a way of living your life that's so simple, it shines. Grandmother led the boys to another billboard farther down the sidewalk. Some put the Golden Rule another way. Do nothing to other people that you would not like having done to you. Either way, she said, it's a very good rule.
Who is it for?
You, me, anyone can practice the Golden Rule.
A rule that is for grown-ups and children?
Yeah, the same rule. There aren't too many rules like that.
Very few rules for people everywhere.
Everywhere. Grandmother continued, whatever their religion or culture, people find the idea of the Golden Rule in their holy books and sacred texts. Christianity says you should love your neighbor as you love yourself. Judaism says, what is hateful to you, do not do to your fellow humans. Islam says, hurt no one so that no one may hurt you. Hinduism says, this is the sum of duty, to do nothing to others which would cause them pain. Buddhism says, do not do to others what would hurt you. The Shawnee,
Summerlot.
People who are past, present, and future caretakers of this land say, do not kill or injure your neighbor, for it is not he or she that you injure yourself.
Oh, Grandma, how can we start to practice the golden rule?
You begin by using your imagination. Yeah, your imagination. Imagine how someone else feels. For instance, when a new child who is joining your class, how do you think that child might be feeling?
New kids always look scared.
Would you be scared if it were you?
Oh, yes.
What would make you feel better?
So small.
Oh, yeah, I bet that would make me feel better too. So to practice the golden rule, you would.
Smile at the new kid.
You got it. I bet you can think of other ways you like to be treated, and maybe ways that you wouldn't want to be treated. How would you feel when you're teased or bullied?
Sad.
Yeah, sad.
Mad.
Yeah, mad.
I feel small.
Small, mad, sad. Do you like feeling like that?
No.
Neither does anyone else. The boys thought for a moment about the golden rule.
Philosophy, I take you. I should tell the truth because I don't like being lied to. Want people to listen to me, so I should listen to other people.
When I'm sick or when I'm tired, sometimes I need help. So I should offer my help to those who need it.
You're getting the idea. The boys looked at their grandmother. Practicing the golden rule seems like it can be hard. I said it was simple. I didn't say it would always be easy.
Grandma, the golden rule is a very big thing, isn't it?
Very big and very small and very old. It's been around for thousands of years.
Thousands of years? Well then, I don't think anyone is practicing the way they should. Otherwise, there wouldn't be so many problems between people, between countries.
You're right, my boys. I wonder how things would change if everyone lived by the golden rule.
I think people would be nicer and kinder. They'd act better towards their families and friends, and even strangers.
What if countries lived by the golden rule?
Well then, people wouldn't want to hurt each other because they do not like being hurt. Maybe there wouldn't be wars.
That would be wonderful, wouldn't it?
Wonderful, Grandma.
But you can't make everyone in the world practice the golden rule. There's only one person you can ask to do that.
Me?
Me?
You. It begins with you.
Did you know that love is a really big deal in Unitarian Universalism? I bet you did, because we just can't stop talking about it.
Love this, side with love of that. Justice is what love looks like in public. Oh, we weren't the first ones to say that. That's Dr. Cornel West. He was, but we love, and we love it so much that we sing it back to him and to the universe all the time.
There was once a scientist guy who asked all kinds of people, not just Unitarian Universalists, what they thought of love and how important it was for them. His name was Robert Miller. It turns out that of all the groups he studied, whether religious or not, UU's rank love as a core value more so than others do.
I guess love really is a big deal for UUs.
I want you to remember that because we're going to come back to it.
Another big deal in Unitarian Universalism is our principles. They are a big part of our covenant with each other.
We know they are a big deal because we have so many ways to talk about them to make sure all the different brains and bodies and ages understand them. There's this way, which is really a list in English.
And this way, which is the list in Spanish.
You can even see our principles in language like Arabic and Thai.
And there's this way, which is in language for kids.
And there's this cool principles wheel by Reverend Ian Riddell and Kimberly Debus, I think that's how you pronounce it, which shows not a linear way to think about the relationships like 1, 2, 3, but in a more circular way between the principles. So many ways.
All of these ways are focused on the 7 principles. When Unitarian Universalism first came into being in 1961, there were only 6 principles. Our 7th principle was proposed in 1985 and added in 1987.
One way to imagine the principles or to our principles was originally suggested by the Reverend Barbara Wells Tenhove. It's called a keystone arch. I think we have a slide for that. This is like a doorway through which we enter into what this faith calls us towards. Our 1st and 7th principles, you'll see, are statements of what we affirm about life. They are pillars that hold up the other 5 principles. You could think of it this way. This might help. Which are more about how we agree to be together. It's kind of cool because the 4th principle, the free and responsible search for truth and meaning, is at the center, holding together the space for us to search for truth and meaning, to balance between each other's individual worth and the needs of our community, of which we are a part. But do doorways or archways ever exist all by themselves, just floating in the air?
Not really, right?
Oh, hey.
They are usually stabilized on the ground, a part of a larger building or structure.
That's right. So maybe there is a principle that is still missing. I'm not sure.
Just like we figured out 35 years ago when we decided that the 7th principle was missing, maybe the missing principle is the ground upon which the doorway is built.
Maybe it's the whole house of love we are always trying to create for ourselves, each other, and the world.
Maybe if we add an 8th principle, we will get closer to the beloved community we dream about, where there is no oppression of any kind, where we can say Black Lives Matter, but we don't have to because they already do.
I want to be a part of building this house of love. Don't you? Oh, boy. Can you tell we're professional actors? So we've been thinking a lot, Adrienne and I have been talking a lot, even the board has been talking a little bit about this imagery of building and dreaming and weaving, imagining, and this house imagery, I think, really brings it all together about what it means to build a house here at UUCCI and all the houses and homes that we live in and that we build beyond these walls. And you might out there be thinking, where would I be in this house? What role would I play? I think early on, 2017, I think I did one of my books, The House That Biff Built, that Sesame Street book. I think I did a wonder box on that. And it's all these different people who help make the house happen. And of course, at the end of the book, all the neighbors come over and have such a big party. But today we're going to actually have a little time, both online and here in the room, to think a little bit about the house of love that we want to build together. And so Marty, you can go ahead. So we're going to have these kind of two questions, and we're going to invite you just to find another person kind of near you that you can have these conversations with for a few minutes. And if you're online, you can, I believe, unmute yourself and talk to one another. But here are two questions. What tools are essential to building our house of love? That's this house of love. What tools are essential to building our house of love? And then the second question is, when you imagine this house, of love, what are you most drawn to? When you imagine this house of love, what are you most drawn to? This is, again, this is a metaphor, okay? So what are you most, so you can imagine the tools and the parts of this house that you would be drawn to and that you think are essential in building it and maintaining it. So I invite you, especially if you're in a couple, to talk to someone you don't know. And we're going to have about 3 to 5 minutes just to have some energy around these questions. We'll keep the questions up. Let's go.
We asked builders and dreamers here at UUCCI of all ages to help us shine a light on our Unitarian Universalist principles through their own youthful lens. As we open our eyes to this journey, you will hear us name the principles and also say them in a more child-friendly way that connects to what we call the rainbow promises. Whether you choose to view them as principles or promises, we know that they are part of our covenant of how we choose to be in relationship with one another and live into our shared values. Our first principle, the inherent worth and dignity of every person. Respect all people. Body positivity, all abilities, using consent in our daily life. No person is illegal. Love is love. All genders, expressions, and orientations are welcome. We are all beautifully and wonderfully made. Open doors, open hearts. Go ahead, Marty. This reminds me of our hymn, Come, Come, Whoever You Are. Go ahead.
Just keep going.
Our second principle, justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. Offer kind and fair treatment to others. Radical welcome, helping your neighbors, be kind, be fair, and care. Respect, responsibility, relationship, our whole lives, the golden rule, hope, and love. This reminds me of our hymn, Filled with Loving Kindness. With our third principle, acceptance of one another and encouragement to spiritual growth in our congregations, or yearn to learn. Reading, writing, beekeeping, learning new sports and finding teammates, sharing in invitations from other places of worship, and extending invitations to join with us, planting seeds and tending gardens. We're all lifelong learners, like Ben, who has recently been learning the familiar song on a guitar.
Our fourth principle, a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. Grow by seeking what is true and right in life, investigating, exploring, walking the labyrinth, creating, listening to stories, wondering often and together, going slowly to watch things emerge, following your own path, looking beyond the horizon. This reminds me of our hymn, "This Little Light of Mine." The fifth principle, the right of conscience and the use of the democratic process within our congregations and in society at large. Or believe in our ideas and act on them. Our bottle cap bench project, learning about oil spills and how to be water protectors. There is no planet B. Sandra Bolte, who volunteers at polling locations for elections, shares that in her service here at UUCCI, that as a board, we strive to live into that fifth principle through our covenants with each other. And we also respect the individual paths and members of our members and call on ourselves to participate fully in the democratic process in all of our actions as a congregation. Joining with people of all ages to march and speak up. This reminds me of our hymn, "Here We Have Gathered."
The sixth principle is the goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. In a kid's language, that would be insisting on a peaceful, fair, and free world. Our world, our responsibility, our future. Resist, raise your voice, say her name. Chris Kevich shares, going to Katali helped me to think more about the connection of UUCCI to the world community mentioned in Principle 6. It also reminds me of justice for all, which encourages me to study the proposed 8th principle. Plant justice, spread love, grow peace. While John Lennon called us to imagine all the people, I am also reminded of our hymn, Building Bridges. The 7th principle is respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. Value the earth, which we share with all living things. All creatures great and small, fluffy, slimy, misunderstood, and part of our world. Unexpected, bold, and beautiful reminders of the circle of life. Companions who remind me to laugh. For those who have gone before us and those who will come after us, nurturing and daring. This reminds me of our hymn, Blue Boat Home.
We hope this time has given you some more visual, more tactile ways to think about our 7 principles, some more auditory ways of thinking about our hymns and how those live into our principles. And we hope that it spurs more conversations as we come back together, building this house of love and embodying these principles that guide us forward.